The womanizing Sterile CEO lost control after meeting his best friend's innocent daughter. 3 weeks later, Logan Pierce made a phone call that would destroy everything, but he disguised it as kindness. Have you ever justified doing something wrong because your intentions felt right? Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family. Enjoy the story. The champagne glass shattered against marble, but it wasn't the crystal breaking that stopped every conversation in the room. It was the way billionaire Logan Pierce looked at the young woman who just ruined his $1,000 suit. What happens when the one person you can't have is standing right in front of you? Have you ever felt that instant connection with someone completely off limits? Tonight, we're diving into a story about forbidden desire and friendship betrayal. But first, hit that subscribe button. You won't believe where this leads. Atlanta's Ritz-Carlton ballroom glowed with wealth and power. Crystal chandeliers cast golden light across George's elite, but Logan's world narrowed to one face. Doe, eyes wide with mortification, full lips forming an apology he couldn't hear over the thunder of his pulse. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Pierce," Amara Daniels stammered, frantically dabbing at his soaked jacket with cocktail napkins. Her hands trembled as she tried to fix the disaster she created. Logan caught her wrist, stopping her frantic movements. The contact sent electricity shooting up his arm. "It's fine," he said, his voice rougher than intended. She was beautiful, not the polished beauty of women who usually surrounded him, but something raw and genuine that made his chest tight. "Logan," Marcus Daniels appeared, beaming with pride. "I see you've met my baby girl. Amara just graduated from Emory with her MBA. Smartest kid I know." Baby girl. The words hit Logan like ice water. This was Marcus's daughter. The little girl he'd heard about for years, but never met. Except she wasn't little anymore. She was 23, curved in all the right places, and looking at him like he hung the moon. "Dad, please." Amara blushed, tucking a strand of dark hair behind her ear. "You're embarrassing me." Logan forced himself to step back, breaking their connection. Marcus had saved his life 15 years ago, taken a bullet meant for Logan during a business deal gone wrong. Their friendship was built on blood and loyalty. "She's lovely, Marcus," Logan managed, though his voice sounded foreign to his own ears. "You should be proud." "I am." Marcus clapped Logan's shoulder. "Actually, I was hoping you two would meet. Amara's job hunting in Atlanta, but maybe you could give her some advice? She's got big dreams." Logan's gaze drifted back to Amara's face. Her lips were slightly parted, cheeks flushed pink. When she looked at him, something dangerous flickered in her eyes. Recognition, attraction, possibility. "I'd be happy to help," Logan heard himself say, though every instinct screamed warning. The orchestra began playing, couples moving to the dance floor. Marcus was pulled away by business associates, leaving Logan and Amara alone in the crowd. "I really am sorry about your jacket," she said softly. "Don't be." Logan stepped closer, drawn by some magnetic force he couldn't fight. Sometimes the best things happen by accident. Her breath caught. For a moment, the ballroom faded away. There was only her, this forbidden fruit dangling just within reach. As Marcus beamed with pride across the room, introducing his baby girl to his best friend, Logan felt something crack inside his chest. Not his heart, that had been locked away for years. No, this was his carefully constructed world, and Amara Daniels had just become its most beautiful threat. 3 weeks later, Logan Pierce made a phone call that would destroy everything. But he disguised it as kindness. Have you ever justified doing something wrong because your intentions felt right? Drop a comment. I want to hear your thoughts. Logan stared at his phone for 10 minutes before dialing. Manhattan stretched below his penthouse like a kingdom of lights. But all he could see was Amara's face from that night. The way she'd looked at him, the electricity when their hands touched. "Marcus, it's Logan. Hey brother, how's the empire running?" The casual affection in Marcus's voice made Logan's stomach twist. "Good. Listen, I've been thinking about Amara. You mentioned she was job hunting. Still looking. Kid's picky. Wants to make a difference, not just make money. Gets that from her mother." Logan closed his eyes. This was his chance to back down, to be the friend Marcus deserved. Instead, he heard himself say, "What if she came to New York? I could use someone with her skills on my team." Silence. Then Marcus's excited laugh. "Are you serious?" "Logan, that would be incredible. She'd learn from the best." "It's just mentorship," Logan lied smoothly. "Professional development. She could stay in my guest room until she finds her own place." "You do that? Man, you're like family. Better than family." The words hit Logan like physical blows. Family. Better than family. He was about to betray the man who'd taken a bullet for him, and Marcus was thanking him for it. "I'll call her tonight," Marcus continued. "She's going to lose her mind with excitement." Logan ended the call and immediately poured himself 3 fingers of whiskey. His reflection in the window looked like a stranger, a predator wearing his face. His phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Mr. Pierce, this is Amara Daniels. Dad gave me your number. I can't believe you'd offer me this opportunity. Thank you so much." Logan stared at the message, thumb hovering over the keyboard. He could still stop this. Could say he'd changed his mind, that the position was filled. Instead, he typed, "Call me Logan. When can you start?" Her response came instantly. "Tomorrow if you need me." The eagerness in her words made his chest tight. She trusted him completely, just like her father did. Just like she should. Logan walked to his guest bedroom and stood in the doorway. Tomorrow, he'd have silk sheets delivered, the finest money could buy. He told himself it was just hospitality, just being a good host. But as he touched the standard cotton pillowcase, imagining Amara's dark hair spread across something softer, he knew he was lying to himself as much as everyone else. His laptop chimed with her official acceptance email. 5 lines of gratitude and excitement that would either save him or damn them both. The day before Amara's flight to New York, Logan stood in his empty guest room, knowing he was about to cross a line 15 years of friendship had drawn. But as he touched the silk sheets he'd ordered for her bed, he realized he was already too far gone to turn back. She walked into his penthouse like she owned it, not with arrogance, but with the kind of wonder that made Logan remember what it felt like to see beauty instead of just possessions. When someone shows you their private world, are they sharing space or sharing themselves? Let me know what you think in the comments. Oh my God, Amara dropped her suitcase in the foyer, spinning slowly to take in the floor-to-ceiling windows, the modern art, the view of Central Park spread below like a green carpet. "Logan, this is incredible. It's just home." But watching her reaction, seeing his space through her eyes, Logan felt proud in a way he hadn't in years. "Come on, let me show you around." He led her through the living room, the kitchen, pointing out features with the detached pride of a man giving a tour. But when she gasped at the view from the terrace, when she ran her fingers along the marble countertops with reverence, something shifted in his chest. "This is your room." Logan pushed open the guest bedroom door, grateful he'd had it professionally staged. Silk sheets, fresh flowers, a view of the city that would make her feel like a queen. "It's beautiful." Amara sat on the edge of the bed, bouncing slightly. "These sheets are softer than anything I've ever felt." Logan gripped the doorframe, watching her hands smooth over the fabric. The innocence in the gesture made him ache with want and guilt in equal measure. Hungry, he needed distance before he did something they'd both regret. "I know a place." Dinner was supposed to be professional. Logan chose a restaurant that was elegant but not romantic, sat across from her with the table as a barrier. But Amara made everything feel intimate. The way she leaned forward when she talked, how she laughed at his dry jokes, the intelligence that sparkled in her eyes when she challenged his business strategies. "You're not what I expected," she said over wine, candlelight dancing across her face. "What did you expect?" "I don't know. Someone colder. Maybe more corporate. Dad talks about you like you're some kind of superhero, but you're just human. Just human." If only she knew how human he was feeling, how every smile made him want to reach across the table and pull her into his arms. The city glittered 60 floors below as they sat across from each other, wine glasses between them like a fragile barrier that neither wanted to acknowledge. "Tell me about growing up with Marcus," Logan said, desperate to remember why this was wrong. "He's the best dad in the world." Amara's face softened. "After Mom died, he could have fallen apart. Instead, he became everything: father, mother, best friend. He'd do anything for me. The love in her voice made Logan's stomach clench. Marcus would do anything for her, including trusting his best friend to protect her. He talks about you all the time, Amara continued. Says you're the brother he never had, that you saved each other. He saved me, Logan corrected quietly. I owe him everything. Then we both owe him. Amara reached across the table, fingers brushing Logan's hand. For bringing us together. The touch was innocent, grateful. But Logan felt it like fire, and when Amara's eyes met his, he saw his own hunger reflected back. They walked back to his building in comfortable silence, shoulders bumping occasionally. In the elevator, alone in the small space, the tension became almost unbearable. Logan caught himself staring at her mouth, at the curve of her neck where her pulse fluttered. Thank you, Amara said as they reached his door. For everything. The job, the place to stay, dinner. I know you're doing this for Dad, but I'm not doing this for your father anymore, Logan said before he could stop himself. The words hung between them, dangerous and honest. Amara's lips parted in surprise, and Logan stepped closer without meaning to. Logan, good night, Amara. He forced himself to step back, to break the spell. Sleep well. As Logan watched Amara curl up in his guest room that first night, her voice soft through the door saying, thank you for everything. He pressed his forehead against the wall between them and whispered the truth he couldn't say aloud. I'm not doing this for your father anymore. The moment Logan Pierce realized he was falling wasn't when she laughed at his jokes or impressed his colleagues. It was when she caught him staring and didn't look away. Have you ever been in a situation where you knew you were playing with fire but couldn't stop? Share your story below. 1 week into Amara's stay, Logan's carefully maintained boundaries began crumbling like sand castles against the tide. She fit into his company with shocking ease, bringing fresh perspectives to stale strategies. But it wasn't her professional skills that kept Logan awake at night. It was the way she hummed while making coffee in his kitchen, how she left her books scattered on his pristine counters, the sound of her shower running down the hall. The Henderson account needs a complete overhaul, Amara said during their third late-night strategy session, papers spread across Logan's home office. Their current approach is tone-deaf to their actual market. Explain. Logan leaned back in his chair, pretending to focus on business instead of how her skirt had ridden up when she'd crossed her legs. Look at their demographics. Amara moved to stand behind his chair, leaning over to point at the screen. Her hair brushed his shoulder, and Logan caught her scent. Something floral and clean that made his mouth go dry. See this gap here? Her finger traced the chart, and Logan found himself watching her hand instead of the data. They're missing an entire generation because they're stuck in outdated thinking. She was brilliant. That was the problem. Logan had expected to be attracted to her physically. She was beautiful in a way that made men stupid. But her mind, her passion for the work, the way she challenged him without fear, that was what was really dangerous. You're right, he admitted, turning his chair to face her. The movement brought them closer together, close enough that he could see gold flecks in her brown eyes. Really, her face lit up with excitement. So we can pitch the new strategy? Logan raised an eyebrow. Since when is this we? Since you decided to trust me with real work instead of busy work. Amara's chin lifted with the defiance he was beginning to love. Unless you're having second thoughts about my abilities? Never. The word came out rougher than intended. They stared at each other across the small space, professional distance evaporating. Logan could feel her breath, could count her eyelashes. One move forward and he could kiss her. One move that would destroy everything. Rain streaked the office windows as they worked past midnight, the building empty except for them and the weight of everything they weren't saying. Logan. Amara's voice was softer now, uncertain. Can I ask you something? Anything. Are you ever lonely up here? In all this perfection? The question hit harder than it should have. Logan had built his life to be self-sufficient, to need no one. But looking at Amara in the lamplight, surrounded by the sterile beauty of his success, he felt the emptiness of it all. Sometimes, he admitted, me too. She moved closer until her knee brushed his. Even surrounded by people, sometimes you can feel completely alone. Is that how you feel here? No. Her hand found his on the armrest of his chair. That's the strange part. I feel more like myself here than I have anywhere. When Amara's hand brushed his while reaching for the same file, Logan didn't pull away. Neither did she. And in that moment, they both knew they were about to betray the one man who trusted them most. The city held its breath around them as Logan turned his hand palm up, fingers intertwining with hers. Such a small touch, but it felt like stepping off a cliff. "This is dangerous," he whispered. "I know," but Amara didn't let go. Instead, she moved closer until she was standing between his knees, their joined hands the only point of contact. "Your father isn't here," she finished. "It's just us. Just us." Two words that held infinite possibility and guaranteed destruction. Logan's free hand rose to cup her face, thumb tracing her cheekbone. Amara's eyes fluttered closed at the touch, and Logan knew he was lost. His phone buzzed against the desk. Marcus calling for their weekly check-in. The sound shattered the moment like breaking glass. Amara jerked back, face flushing with guilt and want. Logan's hand fell to his side as reality crashed back. That's probably Dad." Amara's voice shook slightly. "I should call him back." "Yeah." Logan couldn't look at her. "You should." But as she reached for her own phone, Logan caught her wrist gently. "Amara, this thing between us." "What thing?" But her pulse was racing under his fingers. "Don't pretend you don't feel it too." She met his eyes finally, and Logan saw his own desperate hunger reflected back. "I feel it, but feeling it and acting on it are different things." "Are they?" Before she could answer, her phone rang again. Marcus, persistent as always. Amara looked at the screen, then at Logan, torn between loyalty and desire. "Answer it," Logan said quietly. But this conversation isn't over. As Amara stepped into the hallway to take her father's call, Logan heard her voice bright and fake. "Hi, Daddy." "Yes, Logan's taking great care of me." Logan closed his eyes, the lie cutting deep. He was taking care of her, just not in the way Marcus meant. And tomorrow, he was going to stop pretending otherwise. Some boundaries aren't meant to be crossed. They're meant to be shattered completely. And Logan Pierce was about to destroy 15 years of friendship with a single kiss. When forbidden love feels this right, how do you know if you're following your heart or destroying everything? Comment your thoughts. The breaking point came on a Thursday night during a thunderstorm that rattled the windows of Logan's penthouse like an angry god demanding entry. They'd been dancing around each other for days since that moment in his office, stolen glances during meetings, fingers brushing when passing documents, conversations loaded with double meanings. The tension had become unbearable, electric in the air between them. "The Morrison presentation is perfect," Logan said, reviewing Amara's latest work. They sat on opposite ends of his living room couch, laptops and papers scattered between them like armor. "You've outdone yourself." "We've outdone ourselves," Amara corrected, closing her laptop with a satisfying snap. This was teamwork. Thunder crashed overhead, and the lights flickered. Rain lashed against the floor-to-ceiling windows, turning the city into watercolor smudges of light and shadow. "Looks like we're stuck here for a while," Logan observed, though his heart was racing at the prospect. There are worse places to be trapped. Amara tucked her feet under her, wine glass in hand. The storm had knocked out several blocks, leaving them in the intimate glow of emergency lighting and candles Logan had scrounged from kitchen drawers. "Are there?" Logan's voice was rougher than intended. The question hung between them, loaded with weeks of unspoken desire. Amara set down her wine glass with hands that trembled slightly. "Logan, we can't keep doing this." "Doing what?" "Pretending." She turned to face him fully. "Pretending we don't feel what we feel. Pretending this is just mentorship. Pretending we're not thinking about each other every second of every day." Logan's restraint finally snapped. He moved across the couch in one fluid motion, papers scattering to the floor as he reached for her. "You're right," he said, cupping her face in his hands. "I can't pretend anymore. My father isn't here." Logan echoed her words from days before. "It's just us, Amara. Just us and what we want." "What do you want?" she whispered. "You." The word came out like a prayer. "God help me. I want you more than I've ever wanted anything." The city held its breath as Logan cupped Amara's face, thumb tracing her cheek, while 40 floors of steel and glass separated them from the world that would judge them. "I want you too," Amara breathed. "I've wanted you since that first night." Logan's mouth crashed against hers, and 15 years of friendship went up in flames. The kiss was desperate, consuming. Amara's hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer as Logan's fingers tangled in her hair. She tasted like wine and want and everything he denied himself. "Are you sure?" Logan pulled back just far enough to search her eyes. "Because once we cross this line, I'm sure." Amara's voice was steady, certain. "I've never been more sure of anything." Logan lifted her effortlessly, her legs wrapping around his waist as he carried her toward his bedroom. The storm raged outside, but inside his penthouse, there was only the sound of their racing hearts and whispered promises. He set her down beside his bed, hands shaking as he touched her face again. "We can stop, if you change your mind." "I won't." Amara's fingers went to the buttons of his shirt. "I want this. I want you." Logan captured her hands, bringing them to his lips. "Then let me love you properly." What followed was acclaiming, gentle and desperate, reverent and passionate. Logan worshipped every inch of her skin like she was sacred, and maybe she was. Maybe this was the closest to religion he'd ever come. Afterward, they lay tangled in sheets that smelled like sex and sin, Amara's head on Logan's chest as his fingers traced patterns on her bare shoulder. "What happens now?" she asked quietly. Logan's arms tightened around her. "I don't know, but I know I can't give this up. Can't give you up. My father will never forgive us. Then we'll find a way to make him understand." Amara lifted her head to look at him, hair wild from his hands. "You really think there's a way through this?" "There has to be." Logan kissed her forehead. "Because I'm falling in love with you, Amara Daniels, and I don't give a damn who that makes me." As they pulled apart, breathless and changed forever, Amara's phone buzzed with a text from her father. "Hope Logan is taking good care of you, baby girl. Love you." The guilt hit them both like ice water, but the hunger in their eyes promised this was just the beginning. Outside, the storm was finally breaking, but inside Logan's penthouse, a different kind of chaos was just beginning. For 3 weeks, they lived a double life, professional by day, desperately in love by night, and both knowing their secret was burning brighter than they could contain. Is it possible to love someone and betray them at the same time? When does protecting a secret become living a lie? Logan woke every morning with Amara in his arms, and every morning the guilt felt a little less sharp. She transformed his sterile penthouse into something that felt like home. Her coffee mug beside his, her laughter echoing off his walls, her clothes mixed with his in the closet. "Good morning, Mr. Pierce," she'd whisper against his neck, playing their professional game, even in bed. "Good morning, Ms. Daniels," he'd reply, hands sliding down her bare back. Ready for another day of pretending we can keep our hands off each other. The office became their stage. During meetings, Amara would sit across from him with perfect composure, while Logan remembered exactly how she'd gassed his name just hours before. When she'd lean over his desk to show him reports, he'd catch her scent and have to grip his chair to keep from pulling her into his lap. "The Patterson deal needs your signature," she said during one afternoon meeting, sliding papers across his desk. Her fingers brushed his, and Logan saw heat flare in her eyes before she quickly looked away. "Of course." Logan signed without reading, too focused on the way her skirt hugged her curves. "Anything else?" "Just this." Amara placed another document in front of him, leaning close enough that her hair brushed his shoulder. "It's important." Logan glanced down and nearly choked. She'd written, "Your place. Tonight." Were nothing but that smile I love in her neat handwriting across a blank sheet of paper. "Very important," he agreed, voice strained. "I'll give it my full attention." Their colleagues remained clueless, but Logan felt like they were walking a tightrope blindfolded. Every shared look was dangerous. Every accidental touch was fire. Every night in his bed, made the morning's deception harder to bear. His penthouse became their private world after hours, where CEO and intern disappeared, leaving just Logan and Amara discovering what it meant to be completely known by another person. I never understood why people write songs about love. Amara said one night, naked and beautiful in his bed, city lights painting her skin gold. It seemed like such a waste of good lyrics. And now, Logan traced the curve of her hip, still amazed that he got to touch her like this. Now I get it. Love makes you stupid and brilliant at the same time. She rolled over to face him. It makes you want to shout from rooftops and hide in dark corners. Which are we doing? Both. Amara kissed him softly. We're shouting in whispers. The danger only made everything more intense. Stolen kisses in empty elevators. Text messages that would ruin them both if anyone saw. Late nights when Logan would worship her body like she was his religion. And early mornings when she'd trace the scars on his chest while he told her stories about his childhood he'd never shared with anyone. Your father called today. Logan mentioned one evening as they cooked dinner together in his kitchen. The domestic scene should have felt strange, but it was becoming their new normal. Amara stiffened slightly. What did he say? Asked how you were doing, if you were learning a lot. Logan couldn't meet her eyes. I told him you were exceeding all expectations. That's not exactly a lie, isn't it? Logan turned to face her. Amara, what we're doing? Don't. She pressed her fingers to his lips. Don't ruin this with guilt. We're not hurting anyone as long as no one finds out. But secrets have a way of growing too heavy to carry. Logan felt the weight of deception every time Marcus called. Every time he had to lie about why Amara was working so late. Why she sounded breathless when she answered her phone. The close calls were getting closer. His assistant asking why Amara needed access to his private elevator. A colleague commenting on how much time they spent together. Marcus mentioning he might visit New York soon to see how his little girl was settling in. We need to be more careful, Logan said after a particularly risky encounter in his office conference room. People are starting to notice. Let them notice. Amara straightened her skirt, hair still wild from his hands. I'm tired of hiding. You don't understand what's at stake, don't I? Her eyes flashed with hurt and anger. You think I don't know what this could cost us? What could cost him? Logan pulled her close, needing to feel her against him. I'm scared, he admitted. Scared of losing you. Scared of losing him. Scared I'm going to have to choose. What would you choose? The question was barely a whisper. Logan looked into her eyes and saw his future. Messy and complicated and more real than anything he'd built with his billions. You. I'd choose you every time. The morning Logan woke with Amara in his arms and realized he wanted this forever, his phone exploded with notifications. A photographer had been watching. Their secret was about to become front-page news. Logan, what is it? Amara stirred against his chest, voice sleepy and content. Logan stared at the first text message, blood turning to ice. Got some interesting photos of you and the girl. Call me if you want to make a deal. The paradise they built in secret was about to become a public scandal, and Logan knew their beautiful lie was finally catching up with him. Nothing, baby, he lied, kissing the top of her head while his world began to crumble. Go back to sleep. But sleep was the last thing on Logan's mind, because somewhere in the city, a photographer was deciding their fate, and Logan had no idea how to protect the woman he loved from the storm that was coming. The photograph was innocent, just a young woman leaving a building at dawn, but in the hands of tabloid vultures, innocence becomes scandal with a single caption. Have you ever had your private life become public judgment? How do you handle the world misunderstanding your story? Logan's hand shook as he opened the email attachment. The photo was grainy but unmistakable. Amara walking out of his building at 6 a.m., hair messy, wearing yesterday's clothes. To anyone else, it might look innocent, but the headline the photographer suggested made Logan's blood boil. Billionaire's latest conquest, best friend's daughter. We have a problem. Logan's lawyer, David Chun, sat across from him in the emergency meeting. TMZ has the photos. They're running the story in 2 hours unless we pay them off. How much? Logan didn't hesitate. $2 million. But that's just the beginning. Once one outlet gets paid, they all come sniffing around. Logan's crisis management team filled his conference room. Lawyers, publicists, fixers who specialized in making problems disappear. But this wasn't just any problem. This was Amara. "We deny everything," his publicist, Sarah Martinez, said coolly. "She's an employee, nothing more. We spin it as professional mentorship and media speculation." "No," Logan's voice cut through the room like a blade. "We don't throw her under the bus." "Logan, be reasonable," David leaned forward. "Your reputation can go to hell." Logan stood, pacing to the window. "I won't let them destroy her to save me." But even as he spoke, Logan knew the damage was already done. The newspaper felt like fire in his hands as he stared at the grainy photo that reduced their love to gossip and speculation. His phone rang. "Marcus." Logan's finger hovered over the decline button, but cowardice wasn't an option. "Not anymore." "Marcus, I can explain." "Explain what exactly?" Marcus's voice was ice-cold fury. "Explain why my daughter is leaving your building at dawn. Explain why you've been lying to me for weeks. It's not what it looks like." "Really?" "Because it looks like you seduced my little girl while I trusted you to protect her." The accusation hit like a physical blow. "Marcus, please." 23 years old, Logan. 23. And you're 35 with more money and power than God. You think she had a real choice in this? "She chose me." The words exploded out of Logan. "This isn't some power play. I love her." Silence. Then Marcus's bitter laugh. "Love? You destroyed my family for love? You betrayed 15 years of friendship for a piece of ass. Don't you dare. I'm flying to New York. Tonight. And when I get there, you're going to stay the hell away from my daughter, or I'll destroy everything you've ever built." The line went dead. Logan slumped against his office window, the weight of Marcus's rage crushing his chest. Across the city, photographers were probably already camping outside his building, waiting for more shots of his shame. His private elevator chimed, and Amara walked in, face pale but determined. "I saw the news," she said simply. "Amara, my phone's been ringing nonstop. Dad's flying here tonight. He's..." She swallowed hard. "He's really angry." Logan crossed to her, pulling her into his arms. She felt fragile against his chest, and rage burned through him at the thought of photographers violating their private moments. "I'm so sorry," he whispered into her hair. "I should have protected you better. This isn't your fault." Amara pulled back to look at him. "We knew this was risky. I should pay them off. Make this go away." "With what story? That I'm just some employee who happens to sleep at your place." Amara's voice hardened. "I won't be erased, Logan. If we're doing this, we do it honestly. Your father will have to accept that I'm not his little girl anymore." But tears shimmered in her eyes as she said it. Logan's publicist appeared in the doorway. "The story just broke. Social media is exploding. We need a statement in the next hour." As Logan's phone rang with Marcus's name, both he and Amara knew their beautiful lie was over. But neither expected Marcus's first words. "How could you do this to me?" The friendship that had survived everything was about to die. Logan looked at the woman in his arms, brave and vulnerable and everything he'd never known he needed, and made his choice. "Draft a statement," he told his publicist. "Make it clear that Amara Daniels is not a victim. She's the woman I love, and anyone who suggests otherwise can go to hell." Amara's eyes widened. "Logan, you don't have to." "Yes, I do." He cupped her face in his hands. "I'm done hiding. Done pretending this is something to be ashamed of. Your reputation doesn't matter without you." The storm they'd been running from had finally caught up, but Logan realized he was done running. If loving Amara made him a villain in everyone else's story, so be it. At least he'd be the villain who got the girl. Marcus Daniels had saved Logan's life once, but standing in that penthouse, looking at his daughter's tear-stained face, he wished he'd let him die instead. When love and loyalty conflict, which do you choose? When both sides have valid pain, who's really right? The elevator opened at 8 p.m. sharp, and Marcus Daniels walked into Logan's penthouse like an avenging angel. He looked older than Logan remembered, gray threading his temples, but his eyes burned with the righteous fury of a father betrayed. "Dad." Amara rose from the couch, hands trembling. Marcus didn't look at her. His gaze locked on Logan with laser precision. "You son of a bitch. Marcus, let me explain. Explain what? Marcus's voice shook with rage. Explain how you repaid 15 years of friendship by seducing my daughter? Explain how you looked me in the eye and lied to me for weeks. Logan stepped forward, instinctively placing himself between Marcus and Amara. It's not what you think. Really? Because I think you're a predator who uses wealth and power to manipulate a girl young enough to be his daughter. I'm not a girl. Amara moved around Logan, facing her father with blazing eyes. I'm 23 years old, and I make my own choices. Marcus finally looked at his daughter, and the pain in his expression made Logan's chest tight. Baby girl, you don't understand. Men like Logan, they collect pretty things. You're just another trophy to him. That's not true. Amara's voice cracked. You don't know him like I do, and you don't know him at all. Marcus's control finally snapped. You think this is love? You think he sees you as an equal? Look around, Amara. Look at this place, his life, his world. You're a novelty, a phase. Logan felt something break inside his chest. Marcus, stop. You're hurting her. I'm trying to save her. Marcus whirled on him. From you. From the biggest mistake of her life. The penthouse that had been their sanctuary became a battlefield, with 15 years of friendship and new love hanging in the balance. You were like a brother to me, Marcus said, voice breaking. And I trusted you with the most precious thing in my world. I know. Logan's voice was quiet, steady. And I know I betrayed that trust. But I didn't plan this, Marcus. I didn't want to feel this way about her. But you did it anyway. Yes. Logan met his friend's eyes without flinching. Because some things are worth the cost. Worth destroying our friendship. Worth hurting me. Worth everything. Logan reached for Amara's hand. I love her, Marcus. Not the way you think. Not as some conquest or trophy. I love her mind, her strength, her heart. I love the way she challenges me. The way she makes me want to be better. Pretty words. Marcus's smile was bitter. How long before you get bored? How long before the next young thing catches your eye? Dad, stop. Amara stepped forward, tears streaming down her face. Just stop. You're talking about me like I'm not even here. Because you're not thinking clearly. Marcus grabbed her shoulders. This man has more money than God, baby girl. He could have anyone. Why do you think he wants you? The question hung in the air like poison. Logan saw doubt flicker in Amara's eyes, and rage burned through him. Because she's everything, Logan said quietly. Because she's real in a world full of fake. Because when she looks at me, she sees a man, not a bank account. Because she makes me laugh and drives me crazy and challenges me to be worthy of her. Bullshit. Marcus's grip tightened on his daughter. You want to know why he really wants you? Because you're forbidden. Because I told him he couldn't have you. And Logan Pierce has never been told no in his life. Logan felt the accusation like a physical blow. Was that true? Was this just about wanting what he couldn't have? But then Amara broke free from her father's grip and took Logan's hand, and he remembered. This wasn't about conquest. This was about finding home in another person. I choose him, Amara said quietly. Dad, I love you more than life, but I choose him. Marcus staggered back like she'd slapped him. Amara. No. Her voice grew stronger. I choose to trust my own heart. I choose to believe in love, even when it's complicated, even when it hurts people I care about. Then you choose to break your father's heart. The words hit their target. Amara sobbed, torn between the two men who meant everything to her. As Marcus stormed out, promising to destroy Logan's reputation and business, Amara collapsed into Logan's arms. Neither saw the envelope that had fallen from her purse. Medical results that would change everything again. Logan held her as she cried, knowing they'd won this battle, but the war was just beginning. Marcus Daniels was a man who knew how to hold grudges, and Logan had just made himself an enemy. But as Amara lifted her tear-stained face to his, Logan knew he'd make the same choice again. Some love was worth burning the world down for, even if it meant losing everything else. Logan Pierce had lived with one certainty for 15 years. He could never father children. So when the pregnancy test showed positive, reality itself seemed to shatter. How do you rebuild your identity when everything you believed about yourself turns out to be wrong? Share your thoughts below. 3 weeks after Marcus stormed out of their lives, Amara sat on the bathroom floor of Logan's penthouse, staring at 3 positive pregnancy tests like they were written in a foreign language. "This is impossible," she whispered to the empty room. Logan found her there 20 minutes later, still frozen in shock, test strips scattered around her like fallen leaves. "Amara, what's wrong?" He knelt beside her, following her gaze to the unmistakable pink lines. "Is that positive?" The word came out like a croak. All 3 of them. Logan's world tilted sideways. For 15 years, he'd carried the knowledge that he was sterile, a sports injury in college that had crushed more than just his ribs. He'd built his entire approach to relationships around that fact, never needing to worry about consequences because there couldn't be any. "That's not possible." Logan picked up one of the tests with shaking hands. "I can't. I mean, medically, I can't." "Can't what?" Amara looked up at him, confusion mixing with shock in her eyes. Logan sank down beside her on the cold marble floor. "I am sterile, Amara. I've been since college. There was an accident during a football game, internal injuries, complications from surgery. The doctors were very clear. But these tests are wrong. Have to be wrong." But even as Logan said it, doubt crept in. When was the last time he'd actually checked with a doctor? When was the last time he'd thought about it at all? They made an appointment that afternoon. Dr. Sarah Kim had been Logan's physician for years, knew his medical history better than anyone. "Mr. Pierce," she said after reviewing his latest blood work and ultrasound results, "I have some surprising news." Logan gripped Amara's hand in the sterile examination room. "She's not pregnant." "Oh, she's definitely pregnant. About 6 weeks along, I'd estimate." Dr. Kim smiled at their shocked faces. "But you're right to be confused about the paternity, Mr. Pierce. I don't understand. Your original diagnosis was incorrect." Dr. Kim pulled out a thick file. "I've been reviewing your records from 2009. There was a clerical error in your test results. You were never sterile, Mr. Pierce. The injury damaged some surrounding tissue, but your fertility was never compromised." The room spun around Logan. 15 years. 15 years of believing he was damaged, incomplete. 15 years of avoiding commitment. Because what was the point if he could never give a woman children? So the pregnancy? Amara's voice was barely a whisper. "Is absolutely yours, Mr. Pierce. Congratulations." Logan stared at the ultrasound image in his hands, a tiny blob that somehow contained their entire future. His child, their child, something he'd never allowed himself to want because he thought it was impossible. "Are you okay?" Amara asked as they sat in his car afterward, both too stunned to drive. "I don't know." Logan's hand shook as he touched her still flat stomach. 15 years, Amara. 15 years of thinking I was broken. You were never broken." She covered his hand with hers. "You were just waiting for the right person to create life with." The tenderness in her voice almost undid him. Logan pulled her close, breathing in her scent, trying to process this seismic shift in everything he thought he knew about himself. "What are we going to tell your father?" The question that had been haunting them both. Amara's face crumpled. "He's never going to forgive us now. Bad enough that I'm sleeping with his best friend. But pregnant? At 23? He's going to think you ruined my life." "Did I?" Logan pulled back to look at her. "Amara, tell me honestly, do you feel like I've ruined your life?" She was quiet for a long moment, and Logan felt his heart stop. "No," she said finally. "Complicated it, maybe, but not ruined it. This baby," she placed both hands on her stomach, "this baby is going to be so loved. By both of us. You want to keep it?" Logan hardly dared to ask. "Do you?" Logan thought about his empty penthouse, his sterile life of meetings and mergers and meaningless affairs. Then he imagined Amara growing round with his child, imagined tiny hands and sleepy smiles and the chaos of a real family. "Yes," he said fiercely. "God, yes. I want everything with you, Amara. The pregnancy, the baby, the messy, complicated, beautiful life that comes with it." But even as they held each other in the parking lot, both knew this changed everything. A secret affair was one thing. A pregnant daughter was another entirely. As Logan held the corrected medical records that proved he'd been living a lie for 15 years, Amara whispered words that broke his heart. "My father will never forgive us now." But she was wrong. Marcus's reaction would be far worse than they imagined. Because a pregnancy meant this wasn't just about them anymore. It was about the next generation, about a grandchild Marcus might never get to know. And Logan realized that winning Amara's heart might cost him everything else, including the friendship that had once saved his life. War had been declared, and Marcus Daniels was a man who knew how to destroy empires. He'd helped Logan build one. After all, when someone you love is under attack, how far would you go to defend them? Is there a line you wouldn't cross? The pregnancy news reached Marcus within hours, delivered by a mutual friend who thought he deserved to know he was going to be a grandfather. Logan's phone rang at 6 a.m., and Marcus's voice was deadly calm. "A baby, Logan? You got my little girl pregnant." Logan sat up in bed, Amara stirring beside him. "Marcus, we need to talk." "No, we need to go to war." The line went dead, and Logan knew their already fragile truce had just exploded. Marcus's first strike came that afternoon. A hostile takeover bid from Daniels Construction, backed by 3 of Logan's biggest competitors. 15 years of friendship meant Marcus knew every weakness in Pierce Industries, every vulnerable spot in Logan's carefully constructed empire. "He's going for the throat," Logan's CFO reported during an emergency board meeting. "Daniels has dirt on the Patterson deal, the Henderson acquisition, projects that could sink us if they go public." "How much dirt?" Logan asked, though he already knew the answer. Marcus had been his confidant for years, knew about every gray area deal that had built their success. "Enough to destroy us." And Logan, he's not working alone. Richard Cross is backing him. Richard Cross, Logan's most vicious competitor, a man who'd been trying to destroy Pierce Industries for years. Somehow, Marcus had convinced Cross that revenge was more valuable than their old animosity. Board meetings became battlefields as Marcus used every connection, every secret, every weakness to dismantle the company Logan had built from nothing. "We could fight back," his head of security suggested. "Daniels Construction isn't clean either. We could dig up." "No." Logan's voice cut through the room like steel. "We don't go after Marcus personally. Logan, he's trying to destroy you. He's trying to protect his daughter. I can't fault him for that." But even as Logan took the high road publicly, privately he was bleeding. Stock prices plummeted. Key clients jumped ship. Employees whispered about instability and scandal. "You have to fight back," Amara pleaded one night as they watched the news coverage of Pierce Industries' latest crisis. "He's not just hurting you. He's hurting our future. Our baby's future." Logan pulled her closer on the couch, his hand protective over her growing belly. At 12 weeks, she was just starting to show, and the sight of her curves filled him with fierce pride and terror. "If I destroy your father, you'll never forgive me. If you let him destroy you, what kind of life are we giving our child?" It was the question that kept Logan awake at night. What kind of father would he be if he couldn't even protect his own family? But what kind of man would he be if he destroyed the grandfather his child deserved to know? The media attention was relentless. Photographers camped outside his building, followed Amara to doctor appointments, turned their love story into a soap opera for public consumption. "Billionaire's baby scandal," screamed the tabloid headlines. From mentorship to maternity, inside Logan Pierce's shocking romance. Amara handled it with more grace than Logan thought possible. But he saw the toll it took, the way she flinched at camera flashes, how she'd started wearing sunglasses everywhere to hide her tears. "I'm sorry," he whispered one night after a particularly brutal news cycle. "This is all my fault. Stop apologizing for loving me." Amara turned in his arms, belly pressing against his stomach. "Our baby is going to know they were wanted, Logan. Loved. That's what matters." The hostile takeover bid arrived at 5 p.m. on a Friday. Marcus had partnered with Logan's biggest competitor, and by Monday, Pierce Industries might cease to exist. But Logan's counterattack would expose secrets that would destroy them all. Logan stared at the legal documents spread across his desk. 48 hours to save his company or watch everything he'd built burn. His lawyers had already prepared their counterattack. Evidence of Marcus's own questionable business dealings, proof of corruption that would destroy Daniel's construction. All Logan had to do was sign the papers. "Do it," his general counsel urged. He fired the first shot. "Finish this." Logan's pen hovered over the signature line. One name, and Marcus Daniels would be ruined. His company dissolved, his reputation destroyed, his own empire reduced to ash. But somewhere in Atlanta, Marcus was probably sitting in his study, looking at pictures of Amara as a little girl, mourning the daughter he thought he'd lost to a predator. "Sir," his lawyer prompted, "we need to file by midnight." Logan looked out his window at the city lights, thinking about the child growing inside Amara's belly. His son or daughter would grow up in the shadow of this war, would inherit the consequences of every choice Logan made tonight. "No," Logan said quietly, pushing the papers away. "We don't file. Logan, if we don't fight back, then we lose everything." Logan stood, straightening his tie. But some things are more important than winning. Even if it meant sacrificing everything he'd built, Logan wouldn't destroy the man who'd raised the woman he loved. Some battles weren't worth winning if the cost was your soul. But as Monday morning approached, Logan realized he might have just handed Marcus the weapon to destroy them all. The truth Logan discovered in Marcus's past didn't justify betraying him, but it explained why their friendship had always felt like borrowed time. When you discover someone you've idolized has feet of clay, does it change how you view your own choices? Tell me in the comments. Logan's empire was crumbling, but he couldn't bring himself to fight dirty. Not against Marcus. That changed when his private investigator dropped a thick file on his desk Tuesday morning. "You said you wanted everything on Marcus Daniels," Jake Morrison said, sliding the manila folder across Logan's desk. "Well, you got it. And trust me, you're not going to like what's in there." Logan almost pushed the file away, almost chose to remain ignorant, to let Marcus destroy him with a clear conscience. But Amara was 13 weeks pregnant now, and Logan had more than just himself to protect. The first page made his blood run cold. "The night Marcus saved you wasn't random," Jake explained as Logan read. "The men who attacked you weren't muggers. They were hired muscle, sent to collect on Marcus's gambling debts." Logan's hands shook as he turned the pages. Bank records, casino receipts, loan shark agreements. Marcus hadn't been the hero Logan remembered. He'd been the cause of the danger in the first place. "He owed $300,000 to some very bad people," Jake continued. "When they couldn't find him, they went after you instead. Marcus showed up just in time to play hero and cover his tracks. This can't be right." Logan stared at the evidence, his entire history rewriting itself. "Marcus took a bullet for me. Marcus took a bullet to protect his secret. The men he owed money to are in prison now, have been for years. I tracked down their enforcer. He was very chatty about the job that went wrong." Logan felt sick. 15 years of friendship built on a lie. 15 years of owing his life to a man who'd put it in danger in the first place. "There's more," Jake said quietly. "The business deals you've been helping him with over the years, the contracts you threw his way out of loyalty, Marcus has been skimming. Not enough to notice at first, but it adds up. More pages, more evidence. Marcus hadn't just been a friend. He'd been a parasite, feeding off Logan's success while playing the role of grateful companion. $2 million, Jake said. That's what he's stolen from you over the years through inflated contracts and kickbacks." Logan pushed back from his desk, stomach churning. The man he'd trusted with his life, his business, his most precious secrets, that man was a stranger. "And the company's backing his takeover bid?" Logan asked, though he dreaded the answer. "Richard Cross is paying Marcus $5 million to destroy you. Win or lose, Marcus walks away rich while your company burns." Private investigator files spread across Logan's desk like puzzle pieces, forming a picture he'd never wanted to see. His best friend was a stranger. Logan's phone buzzed. A text from Amara. "Doctor's appointment at 3. It's the big ultrasound. We find out if it's a boy or girl. Can't wait to see you there. Their baby, their future. Everything Marcus was trying to destroy out of greed, disguised as paternal protection." "What do you want me to do with this?" Jake asked, gesturing to the evidence. Logan stared out his window at the city he'd conquered through honest work and brutal determination. Marcus was about to take it all away with dirty money and manufactured outrage. "Give me copies of everything," Logan said quietly. "And Jake, I need you to dig deeper. If Marcus is capable of this, what else has he been hiding?" The answer came that evening. Marcus's construction company had been cutting corners on safety inspections, bribing city officials, using substandard materials on public projects. Schools and hospitals built with Marcus's inferior concrete and steel. Logan held the evidence that could destroy Marcus's reputation forever, but using it would mean Amara would never forgive him. As her father's true nature emerged, Logan faced an impossible choice: save himself or save the woman he loved from the truth about her hero. At the doctor's office, Logan watched the ultrasound screen with wonder and terror as their baby moved and kicked, completely unaware of the war being fought over their future. "It's a girl," Dr. Kim announced with a smile. "A perfectly healthy baby girl." Amara squeezed Logan's hand, tears of joy streaming down her face. "A daughter." Logan stared at his daughter on the grainy screen. Tiny hands, perfect profile, the future he'd never dared to dream of. This little girl would grow up asking about her grandfather. She deserved to know Marcus as the hero Amara believed him to be, not the con man Logan had discovered. "Have you thought about names?" Dr. Kim asked. "Victoria," Amara said immediately. "After my grandmother. She was the strongest woman I ever knew." "Victoria." "Victory." Logan hoped it was a sign. That night, as Amara slept beside him, Logan made his decision. He would keep Marcus's secrets, would let himself be destroyed rather than shatter Amara's faith in the father who'd raised her. But he would also make sure Marcus knew exactly what Logan was sacrificing for his daughter's peace of mind. Some truths were too dangerous to speak. Others were too important to hide forever. Logan picked up his phone and texted Marcus. "We need to talk. Just the two of us." Tomorrow night, where it all began. The warehouse where Marcus had saved his life 15 years ago. Where Logan would either find a way to save them all or watch everything he'd built turn to ash. Either way, the lies ended tomorrow. Some truths are too dangerous to speak and too important to hide. Logan Pierce was about to learn the difference between winning and surviving. Can forgiveness exist without trust? Is it possible to move forward when the foundation was built on lies? The abandoned warehouse looked exactly the same as it had 15 years ago. Rusted metal, broken windows, shadows that held too many secrets. Logan arrived first, memories flooding back of the night that had changed everything. The night he thought Marcus saved his life. Marcus walked in at exactly midnight, looking older and more tired than Logan had ever seen him. "You wanted to talk," Marcus said, voice carefully neutral. "So talk." Logan pulled out the thick file Jake had given him, setting it on the dusty crate between them. "I know the truth, Marcus. All of it." Marcus's face didn't change, but Logan saw his hands clench into fists. "What truth?" "The men who attacked me 15 years ago weren't random muggers. They were collecting your gambling debts." Logan's voice was steady, controlled. "You didn't save my life, Marcus. You put it in danger in the first place." Silence stretched between them, heavy with the weight of exposed lies. "You hired an investigator," Marcus said finally. "It wasn't a question. I had to. You're trying to destroy everything I've built, and I needed to know why." "You know why." Marcus's voice cracked slightly. "You seduced my daughter. I fell in love with your daughter. There's a difference." Logan pulled out another document. "But this isn't about Amara, is it? It's about the $5 million Richard Cross is paying you to destroy me." Marcus flinched like he'd been slapped. "Win or lose, you get paid." Logan continued relentlessly. "Amara thinks you're protecting her honor, but you're really just cashing in on 15 years of friendship. You don't understand." "I understand perfectly." Logan stood, pacing to the window where it had all happened. The gambling debts, the skimmed contracts, the bribes to city inspectors. "I know about all of it, Marcus." In the abandoned warehouse where their friendship began 15 years ago, two men who'd been brothers stood as enemies, with only their mutual love for one woman keeping them from complete destruction. "So what now?" Marcus asked, voice hollow. You release all this and destroy me? Make Amara choose between her father and her baby daddy. No. Logan turned back to face him. That's the difference between us, Marcus. I won't destroy the man who raised the woman I love, even if he deserves it. Marcus's mask finally cracked. Then what do you want? The truth. All of it. Starting with why you really saved me that night. Marcus was quiet for so long Logan thought he wouldn't answer. Then, slowly the story came out. I was desperate, Marcus whispered. The gambling had gotten out of control after Sarah died. I thought I could win back what I'd lost, but I just kept digging deeper. When they came for you instead of me, I realized what I'd become. So you played hero. I saved you because I needed someone to believe I was better than I am. Tears tracked down Marcus's weathered face. You looked at me like I was worth something, Logan. Like I mattered. I hadn't felt that way since Sarah died. Logan felt some of his anger fade. Grief made people do desperate things. He'd seen it destroy stronger men than Marcus. And Amara? She's all I have left of Sarah. When I saw those pictures of her leaving your building, Marcus's voice broke. I thought I was losing the last good thing in my life. You were never going to lose her, Logan said gently. She loves you, Marcus. Nothing changes that. Even when she finds out what I really am. Logan looked at the man he'd called brother for 15 years, seeing him clearly for the first time. Broken, desperate, but not evil. A father who'd made terrible choices trying to protect what mattered most. She doesn't have to find out. Any of it. Marcus's head snapped up. What? I won't release the information. I won't fight back. You could destroy my company, take everything I've built. Logan's voice was steady. But you stopped this war, Marcus. You let Amara make her own choices about her life. And you try to be the grandfather our daughter deserves. Your daughter, it's a girl, Victoria. Logan couldn't help but smile. She's going to be beautiful, just like her mother. Marcus sagged against the wall, looking everyone who's 53 years. A granddaughter. Who needs to know her grandfather? The real Marcus Daniels. The man who loved his wife enough to fall apart when he lost her. Who loved his daughter enough to make enemies of his best friends to protect her. What? Marcus asked through his tears. After everything I've done, why would you protect me? Because Amara loves you. Because our daughter deserves to know her grandfather. Because 15 years ago, whatever your reasons, you did save my life. The truce was fragile. Marcus would stop the business attacks. Logan wouldn't release the evidence. And both would try to coexist for Amara's sake. But pregnancy complications were about to make their careful peace irrelevant. Logan's phone rang as they shook hands in that dusty warehouse. Amara's number, but a voice he didn't recognize. Mr. Pierce? This is Dr. Kim. You need to get to the hospital immediately. Amara is having complications with the pregnancy. Logan's world stopped. What kind of complications? Just get here. Now. Logan looked at Marcus, all their anger forgotten in the face of real terror. Amara's in the hospital. Something's wrong with the baby. Without a word, Marcus followed Logan out of the warehouse and into the night. Two men united again by the woman they both loved. At 3 a.m., when ambulance sirens cut through Manhattan's night, Logan Pierce learned that some things matter more than pride, revenge, or even love. They matter more than breathing. When crisis strips away everything superficial, what's left shows you who people really are. Have you experienced a moment that changed everything? Logan's hands shook as he drove through empty streets. Marcus silent in the passenger seat. The call had been brief, terrifying. Amara was hemorrhaging, the baby in distress. Emergency surgery required. She's going to be okay, Marcus said quietly, but his voice cracked with fear. You don't know that. Logan took the hospital corner too fast, tires squealing. Neither of us knows that. Presbyterian Hospital's emergency entrance blazed with lights. Logan barely remembered to put the car in park before running toward the doors, Marcus right behind him. Amara Daniels. Logan gasped to the receptionist. She's in surgery. Mr. Pierce. Dr. Kim appeared, still in surgical scrubs. And Mr. Daniels. I'm glad you're both here. How is she? Marcus demanded. How's my little girl? The bleeding has stopped, but it was touch and go for a while. We nearly lost them both. Logan felt his knees buckle. Marcus caught his arm. steadying him. But they're alive? Logan's voice was barely a whisper. They're alive. Amara's stable, and the baby's heartbeat is strong. But Mr. Pierce, it's going to be a difficult pregnancy from here on out. Complete bed rest, constant monitoring. Whatever she needs, Logan said immediately. Money's no object. It's not about money, Dr. Kim said gently. It's about support. She's going to need both of you through this. Hospital waiting room fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as two enemies sat side by side, united in terror that the woman they both loved might not survive their war. Logan stared at his hands, still stained with Amara's blood from when he'd carried her to the car. 3 hours ago, his biggest concern had been saving his company. Now, nothing mattered except the woman fighting for her life 3 floors above them. This is my fault, Marcus said suddenly. Marcus? No, it is. Marcus's voice was thick with self-loathing. The stress of this whole situation, the fighting, the media attention. I did this to her. Logan wanted to argue, to place blame, but the truth was they were both responsible. Their war had casualties, and the most innocent ones always paid the highest price. We both did this, Logan said quietly, but we can both fix it. How? By being what she needs us to be. By putting her first, above our pride, above our anger. They sat in silence as dawn broke over the city. Two men who'd been everything to each other. Friends, enemies, family. Now reduced to their most basic roles. The men who loved Amara Daniels. Mr. Pierce? Mr. Daniels. A nurse appeared. She's awake. She's asking for both of you. Logan and Marcus looked at each other, their earlier truce forgotten in the face of something bigger than both of them. Amara lay pale and small in the hospital bed, lines snaking from her arms, monitors beeping steadily. But her eyes were open, alert, and when she saw them both, she smiled. My boys, she whispered. You came together. Of course we did, baby girl, Marcus said, taking her left hand while Logan claimed her right. Where else would we be? Is she okay? Amara's hand went to her belly. Is Victoria okay? She's perfect, Logan said, pressing a kiss to her knuckles. Strong, just like her mama. I was so scared, Amara admitted. I thought I was losing her. Losing everything. Never, Marcus said fiercely. You're stuck with both of us, whether you like it or not. Logan met Marcus's eyes over Amara's bed and saw his own resolution reflected back. Whatever had been broken between them, whatever lies had poisoned their friendship, none of it mattered compared to this. The doctor says you need to rest, Logan said softly. Complete bed rest until Victoria decides to make her appearance. Both of you have to promise me something, Amara said, her voice gaining strength. No more fighting. No more war. I can't handle the stress, and our daughter doesn't deserve to be born into chaos. I promise, Logan said immediately. Marcus. Amara looked at her father with pleading eyes. Marcus was quiet for a long moment, then nodded slowly. I promise, baby girl. No more fighting. As doctors emerged from surgery with news that would determine 3 futures, Logan and Marcus stood together for the first time in months. The next words would either unite them in grief or give them a chance to rebuild everything they'd broken. But the words were good ones. Amara would recover fully. Victoria was healthy and strong. The pregnancy would continue, carefully monitored but viable. Standing in that hospital room, watching the woman they both loved sleep peacefully for the first time in weeks, Logan and Marcus began the slow work of rebuilding trust. It wouldn't happen overnight. Too much had been said, too much damage done. But they had 9 months until Victoria arrived, 9 months to figure out how to be family again. And for the first time since this whole mess began, Logan thought they might actually make it. Recovery isn't just about surviving. It's about deciding who you want to be when you wake up, and Logan Pierce was ready to become the man Amara believed him to be. What does it take to rebuild trust after betrayal? How do you forgive without forgetting? Share your experiences with second chances. 3 months later, Logan's penthouse had been transformed into a medical sanctuary. Hospital-grade monitors, a nurse on call, and the best doctors money could buy. But the real healing wasn't happening in the medical equipment. It was happening in the quiet moments between 3 people learning to be family. Hand me that pillow, Amara ordered from her position on the couch, belly round and obvious at 26 weeks. "And don't give me that look, Logan Pierce. I'm pregnant, not paralyzed. Dr. Kim said complete bed rest. Logan reminded her, adjusting the pillow behind her back with careful precision. Dr. Kim said bed rest, not prison. But Amara smiled as she said it, and Logan felt that familiar flutter in his chest that happened every time she looked at him with love instead of fear. The crisis had changed all of them. Marcus visited every weekend now, awkward at first, but slowly warming to the idea of being part of their unconventional family. Logan had quietly made the charges against Pierce Industries disappear, not by fighting dirty, but by offering Marcus something better than revenge: partnership. Daniels Pierce Construction, Marcus had said when Logan presented the proposal. 50-50 split, complete transparency, clean books from here on out. "Can I trust you?" Logan had asked bluntly. "You'll have to," Marcus replied, "because I can't afford to lose my daughter again, and she'll never forgive me if I destroy the father of her child." Sunlight streamed through hospital windows as three people who'd nearly lost everything discovered that love isn't about possession. It's about letting go and choosing to stay anyway. "She's moving," Amara said suddenly, hand flying to her belly. "Victoria's awake." Logan placed his hand next to hers, feeling their daughter's strong kicks against his palm. 6 months ago, he thought he could never be a father. Now he couldn't imagine being anything else. "She's got strong legs," Marcus observed from his chair by the window. "Probably going to be an athlete like her old man." The easy companionship still surprised Logan sometimes. The three of them had found a rhythm. Marcus's visits coinciding with Logan's business trips, shared meals and doctor appointments. The careful reconstruction of trust. "I've been thinking about the nursery," Amara said, pulling out her tablet to show them the latest designs. Something bright and cheerful, but not too overwhelming. "Whatever you want," Logan said immediately. "Within reason," Marcus added with a father's practicality. "You don't need to buy out the entire baby store," says the man who showed up last week with a bassinet that costs more than most people's cars, Logan pointed out. "That's different. I'm a grandfather. I'm supposed to spoil her." The banter was comfortable now, natural. They'd learned to navigate around the sharp edges of their shared history, finding common ground in their love for Amara and the baby she carried. "I need to tell you both something," Amara said suddenly, setting down the tablet. "I know what happened between you two. Not the details, but I know there were secrets, lies, things you're both protecting me from." Logan and Marcus exchanged glances, the easy mood shifting. "Amara," Logan started. "I don't want to know," she continued. "Whatever it was, whatever almost destroyed our family, it doesn't matter anymore. What matters is that you both chose to put me and Victoria first. That's all I need to know." The wisdom in her voice made Logan's chest tight. She was only 23, but pregnancy and crisis had matured her in ways that broke his heart and made him proud simultaneously. "You sure about that, baby girl?" Marcus asked quietly. "I'm sure." Amara reached for both their hands. "We're building something new here, something that works for all of us. The past can stay buried." Logan squeezed her fingers, grateful beyond words for her grace. Some women would have demanded the truth, would have picked at the wounds until they bled fresh. But Amara understood that some forgiveness required not knowing everything. "The important thing is that you're both here," she continued. "That Victoria is going to grow up knowing she's loved by her father and her grandfather. That I get to keep both the men who matter most to me." Marcus holding his grandchild while Logan watches, the 3 generations connected despite everything. "I love you," Logan said simply, meaning it for both of them. "I know," Amara smiled. "And I love you too, both of you," as they brought the baby home to Logan's penthouse, now truly their family's home. Amara had one more surprise that would complete their unconventional family's healing journey. "There's something else," she said as Marcus helped her settle into the nursery they'd spent months perfecting. "Something I've been waiting to tell you both." Logan and Marcus waited, matching expressions of concern on their faces. "I want Marcus to walk me down the aisle," Amara said quietly. "Logan, I know we haven't talked about marriage yet, but when we do, when you're ready, I want my father there to give me away." The proposal Logan had been planning for months suddenly felt less important than this moment. This bridge Amara was building between her past and her future. "If you'll have me," Marcus said, voice thick with emotion. "Always," Amara replied. "You're my father. Nothing changes that." Logan watched the two people he loved most reconcile completely and knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they'd face them as family. Broken, complicated, unconventional family, but family nonetheless. 1 year later, at another charity gala in Atlanta, Logan Pierce stood in the same ballroom where his world had changed. But this time, he wasn't afraid of who might see him love Amara Daniels. So what would you have done in their situation? Sometimes the greatest love stories aren't about perfect people. They're about broken people who choose to heal together. Tell me in the comments which character's journey resonated most with you. The Ritz-Carlton ballroom looked exactly the same. Crystal chandeliers, golden light, George's elite in their finest clothes. But Logan felt like a different man entirely as he adjusted his bow tie and waited for his wife to finish nursing their daughter in the private suite upstairs. "Nervous?" Marcus asked, appearing beside him with 2 glasses of champagne. "Should I be?" Logan accepted the drink gratefully. "It's not like we haven't done this before. That was different. Tonight, you're introducing them to your family." Family. The word still gave Logan a thrill. 6 months ago, he married Amara in a small ceremony in Central Park, with Marcus walking her down the aisle and baby Victoria gurgling in the front row. Tonight was their first public appearance as the Pierce family. No more hiding, no more shame. Ready, Amara appeared, radiant in a deep blue gown that complemented her nursing-friendly design and the sapphire necklace Logan had given her for their wedding. She'd lost most of the baby weight, but kept the glow that made her even more beautiful than the girl who'd spilled champagne on him 2 years ago. "You look stunning," Logan murmured, kissing her cheek. "Flattery will get you everywhere, Mr. Pierce." The same crystal chandeliers cast the same golden light, but everything had changed. The scared young woman was now a confident mother. The ruthless O had become a devoted father, and the betrayed friend had become the grandfather who'd learned that love multiplies when shared. They made their entrance together, Logan's hand on Amara's back, Marcus beaming with pride as he carried Victoria, who was dressed in a tiny pink gown that matched her mother's accessories. "Is that Logan Pierce?" Logan heard someone whisper. "With a baby?" "That's his wife," someone else corrected. "And his father-in-law. Quite the scandal a couple years back, but look at them now." Logan smiled at the murmurs. Let them talk. He'd learned that other people's opinions mattered far less than the love of the woman beside him and the trust of the man who'd raised her. "Logan," a familiar voice called out. Richard Cross, of all people, approached with his wife. "Congratulations on the marriage. And the little one, she's beautiful." "Thank you, Richard." Logan shook his former enemy's hand, genuinely pleased by the well wishes. "No hard feelings about the business last year?" "Ancient history," Logan replied, meaning it. Cross's backing of Marcus's takeover attempt had led to the crisis that nearly broke them all, but it had also forced them to confront their demons. In a strange way, Logan was grateful. The evening progressed like a celebration of everything they'd overcome. Colleagues who'd whispered about scandal now offered congratulations on his marriage. Business rivals who tried to capitalize on his troubles now sought partnerships with a stronger company he'd built from the ashes. "May I have this dance?" Logan asked Amara as the orchestra began playing the same song that had been playing the night they met. "I thought you'd never ask." Logan led her onto the dance floor, the same spot where she'd spilled champagne and changed his life forever. But now she moved in his arms with the confidence of a woman who knew she was cherished, protected, loved without reservation. "Do you ever regret it?" Logan asked as they swayed to the music. "Everything we went through to get here?" "Never." Amara's answer was immediate, certain. "Do you?" Logan looked over at Marcus, who was showing off Victoria to anyone who would listen. The proud grandfather completely transformed from the bitter man who tried to destroy them. He thought about his company, stronger now, with honest partnerships and clean books. Most of all, he looked at the woman in his arms and the life they'd built together. Not for a second, he said, though I do regret how long it took me to propose properly. Logan and Amara dancing, wedding rings catching the light, their love now mature and tested by fire. As if summoned by his words, the music stopped and Logan stepped back from Amara with a smile. "What are you doing?" she asked, confused. "Something I should have done in the place where we met." Logan dropped to one knee in the middle of the dance floor, pulling out a small velvet box. "Amara Pierce, will you marry me again?" "Logan, we're already married." "I know, but I want to ask you properly this time, in front of everyone, with no secrets and no shame." Logan opened the box to reveal an eternity band covered in diamonds. "Will you marry me again, in front of God and everyone, so the whole world knows that you're the best thing that ever happened to me?" Tears streamed down Amara's face as she nodded. "Yes, you ridiculous man. Yes, I'll marry you again." Marcus's toast from the head table still rang in Logan's ears. "To my daughter, who taught us that love isn't about deserving. It's about growing into the person worthy of what you've been given." The applause was thunderous as Logan slipped the ring onto Amara's finger and kissed her in the same ballroom where their story began. But this time, instead of hiding their connection, they were celebrating it. "I love you, Mrs. Pierce," Logan whispered against her lips. "I love you too, Mr. Pierce. All of you. Forever." As the evening wound down, Logan found himself on the balcony with Marcus, both of them watching Amara dance with Victoria in her arms. "You did good, son," Marcus said quietly. "Better than I thought possible when this whole mess started." "We all did good," Logan corrected. "We chose family over pride, love over revenge. That's what Victoria's going to remember. Not the mistakes we made, but how we fixed them. Think she'll forgive us for being such idiots when she's older?" Logan watched his daughter giggle as Amara spun her around the dance floor, her tiny hands reaching for the sparkling chandeliers. "I think she'll be proud of us," Logan said, "for fighting for each other when it mattered most." If this story of forbidden love, family betrayal, and ultimate redemption touched your heart, smash that like button. Subscribe for more true stories that prove love can conquer even the deepest wounds. And remember, the most powerful love stories aren't about perfect people finding each other. They're about imperfect people choosing to fight for each other. What's your take on second chances in love? Drop your thoughts below. 2 years ago, Logan Pierce thought he had everything. Tonight, dancing with his wife while his daughter slept in his father-in-law's arms, he knew he'd been wrong. He hadn't had everything before. He just had money. Now he had family. Now he had love. Now he had everything that actually mattered. And it had all started with a broken champagne glass and a woman brave enough to love him despite every reason not to. Some love stories begin with meet cuties and fairy tale romance. But the best ones, the ones that last, begin with two broken people deciding that together they could be whole.